there are 3 PC games right now that are gonna blow up when they come to console, because there's really no games cross-platform that are doing what they're doing. One of them already has immense success on PC. Releasing cross-platform would only extend its reach even further, like skyrocketing it to the popularity of Fortnite or Apex. For the other 2, a console release wouldn't just be a boost, it's a necessity for the success of their games. The first one on our list has the most unique gameplay loop that I've ever seen in a first-person shooter. All right, he's probably gonna be waiting for me inside. The second one got me. So what is Marauders? The gameplay loop follows that of an extraction looter shooter set in 1992 in a reality where the Cold War never ended. So the space race led us to interplanetary combat. Now, Marauders is definitely an early access indie game. It's full of bugs, glitches, and crashes, and some rather wonky shenanigans. But with that said, it has some of the most unique gameplay that I've ever experienced in a first-person shooter game. And for being just a couple of months into its launch, it's added a lot of new content that we're going to talk about here in a second that makes it worth its price tag of 30 bucks. So when it comes to how this game actually works, the common phrase that has been thrown around since Marauders launched a couple of months ago is Tarkov in space.
This game is Tarkov in space, and I know it's going to get overused,
but it sets itself apart from Poppy EFT in so many different ways. Practically all that I play is extraction looter shooters, as that's basically the main focus of this channel, giving our community access to what's going on with new and upcoming extraction looter shooters. So by the way, if like me, mindless casual PvP with no consequences just isn't enough for you anymore, consider subscribing so I can keep you in the loop. Thanks in advance. Regardless, it's always been the trend that any game that comes out in this genre is just a derivative of Escape from Tarkov. And that makes sense considering that they really laid the groundwork for every game that came after. Some of you aren't gonna like it, but Tarkov is hands down the best extraction looter shooter on the market. There really isn't a strong debate to counter that. But Marauders has something that Tarkov can't and won't be able to accommodate, and that's accessibility. EFT just isn't playable for many of the newcomers hopping in just wanting to give it a try. There is so much meta with a complex medical system, in-depth ballistics and armor, hideouts, and the flea market. There's just so much you have to learn, put time into, and master before you can actually enjoy yourself and become a formidable threat when you drop into a raid. Marauders is simple. You have an HP and stamina bar, you use med kits and food to heal, 10 mil guns take 10 mil ammo, and weapon parts are labeled as to what exact weapon they go to. No random sight that you just can't seem to equip to any of the guns that you have in your inventory. In fact, there are no sights or scopes outside of the built-in iron sights that come on the weapon already. This is just another way that Marauders stands out as a game that is welcoming, not threatening, to non-veteran players. Everybody is just using iron sights. No guy that's been playing for years, easily power leveling their way to access better sights and higher damage ammo that gives them a massive advantage over you. But that's really where I want the Tarkov comparison to end. Because when you load into a match of Marauders, they couldn't be more different. You don't choose a map to drop into, you don't choose your own missions, like you do in every other game. The game chooses those things for you. When you spawn into a match, you have no idea which of the various maps of space you're going to load into and what objectives you're going to be given. You may need to go blow up some space mines or hold control of a security office while fighting off enemy players and AI. You won't know until a match starts. This adds replayability. It just decreases staleness. When you spawn in, you begin your journey in a slow, low damage, poorly armored rust bucket. This is the starter ship given to all Marauders who haven't earned, bought, or stolen one of the many higher tiered ships. It has a single turret, storage for extra loot you can't fit in your backpack, and a repairable engine that has to be put out with extinguishers if your ship catches fire. The goal is to traverse to and from whatever POI has spawned in with the map, complete your missions there, and survive to make it back to your ship and get to the exfil. The POIs are surprisingly large, with multiple rooms and sections for you to loot for gear and fight difficult AI for XP, but to be honest, you can run around a map and shoot enemy players and AI in every FPS game. Where Marauders feels the most fresh is in its space combat system. This is where the game really shines. Flying your ship to the POI in the middle, you can encounter turret systems, radars, mines, enemy AI, scout ships, frigates, and transport freighters, as well as other players flying around trying to do the same thing. All of these ships can be breached and boarded using an escape pod from your own ship. Once you breach, you have no idea what you're up against. Could be a solo player, or it could be a full 4-man squad kitted out with the best armor and guns. The only thing that you can be sure of is that it's assumed you are not friendly. Learning the layouts of each ship, as well as what paths players typically take to defend their loot, will help you eventually find the best places to position yourself for a successful ship raid. Now, I will say, one of the most important features that Marauders is lacking, that I think should be the standard in PvP games today, is proximity chat. There's only in-game voice lines at this point in early access that are you. Yeah, being able to utilize proximity chat when you encounter other players makes multiplayer games so much more fun and further randomizes the experience. After a successful raid, when you make your way to the exfil portal, you have to travel back to the space station where you're going to have access to your gear menu, allowing you to transfer over your spoils to your inventory, and then sell whatever you want to get rid of to traders for cash or to buy better items, or you can scrap stuff for materials that you can use to craft items that you've unlocked. With their newest update, you can also access a market where the traders will post their most desired items that they're looking for in exchange for experience and other items. Now, like I said earlier, you can't equip any sights, but there are a multitude of other attachments like stocks, extended mags, and muzzles that you can equip from the weapons menu to improve the guns in your inventory. And when you fly into the exfil with a new ship better than the rust bucket you had before, or buy or craft one, they will now show up in your hangar. From here, you can upgrade their lethality and armor. My favorite ship so far just got added to the game with that last update too, but it belongs to the newest boss, the Red Baron. His spawn chance is very low, so when I saw the Red Baron ship on my first match the other night, I just had to have it, so I went for it. I'm in. All right, I'm waiting for you, I'm in. Gotcha, bitch! Woo! We killed the Red Baron, son, let's rock! Marauders is currently only available on PC through the Steam store, and really has died down pretty quickly after launch, with a peak player count of 14,000 back then to now not really being able to reach over 1,000 players. This game is too unique and rewarding to play for it just to die off into the abyss of games that could have been more. I haven't heard much from the devs about going cross-platform, but I really do hope that it's on the horizon. What do you guys think though? Is this something you think console players would eat up, like I believe? Or would this just be too hardcore? If so, this next game definitely has less hardcore elements without losing that risky gameplay feeling. When we first saw the announcement trailer, it blew us away. A minimal HUD, full immersion into an alien planet littered with deadly creatures and enemy players. What we were seeing was a fresh, new, free-to-play Tarkov-like experience with big names of the genre like Pestily, Shroud, and even the Two Times, hyping this game up hard as the next big extraction looter shooter.
It's not bad. I mean, look how fast it is. Boom, we're going into the server right now.
In 2021, we were introduced to the Cycle Frontier, where you play as a prospector in the distant future with the objective of dropping onto the deadly planet of Fortuna 3 to loot and gather rare items and materials to use for crafting, to complete missions given to you by various factions, and to advance your player's quarters. That would give your character significant advantages over time. The concept of the game is actually pretty awesome. The Cycle Frontier nails what makes an extraction looter shooter worth your while. Risk for reward. forward. There's plenty of meaningful progression with multiple campaigns from the different factions that you'll have to complete to unlock several in-game activities and items. When you crash down to Fortuna 3 in your drop pod, you have no match timer to limit your exploration, basically putting all the pressure on the player to know when it's time to make your way to a dropship and extract with what you've obtained. On planet, you encounter a plethora of different alien creatures that, if you're not careful, can quickly swarm and kill even the best players. But your real threat is other players that are also trying to survive and make it to a dropship. With the lack of rules and the always welcome addition of proximity chat, the PvP interactions were always tense, always unpredictable. Jaeger Development initially started the cycle as a battle royale, revealing this new title at Gamescom 2018 right after finishing their previous game, Dreadnought. The BR cycle released into early access on the Epic Games Store in August of 2019 and shut down in October of 2021, the same month that the Cycle Frontiers closed beta was going down. After one more beta early in 2022, the game went into early access on June 8th. And in that month, the Cycle had some really solid numbers. Hitting a peak of 40,000 players on Steam at one point. But over the following months, the player base began dropping off, culminating to now having an average player base of around 1,000. But why? With such a promising new title in a genre that I think most of you would agree is on the rise, why have they not been able to maintain a larger player base? A big part of the swift decline in hype was a major cheating problem at launch. It turned so much of the player base off so fast that by the time they got into the position that they're in now, where cheating is almost non-existent, with a very robust and fine-tuned anti-cheat system, it's not enough to bring back a majority of the player base they lost. Now, being in a little bit better of a position than Marauders, the Cycle has much more fluid movement, easier healing mechanics, as well as combat mechanics like hit markers that result in a less hardcore while still tactical experience. All of that along with them actually having a larger player base, especially today with them recently having dropped a big new season with new features and tuning the gameplay, they may be the best candidate for a game that would blow up if it were to go from PC only to cross-platform. Additionally, it's free to play. Marauders is over $20. So this is already in a great position to download free on your PlayStation or your Xbox, and in a recent blog post, they did announce that they do have plans in the works right now for cross-platform. My only issue is, just like with any game, timing is a major factor. Is it going to be too little too late? Now, the final game on our list is the one with probably the most potential for explosive growth when it hits console. But the caveat is the difficulty of translating all the gameplay mechanics to a controller, and the fact that it might be the most hardcore and punishing experience in the gaming world at the moment. Of course, we're talking about the godfather of the extraction looter shooter subgenre, Escape from Tarkov. More than likely, you already know what this game is about, as with The Division's Dark Zone aside, this is the game that started it all. The gearing up, loading into a match with a full kit, trying to complete missions, loot, and survive to make it to an exfil, or risk losing it all. With no map, no directions, no hit markers, extremely low TTK, realistic movement, gunplay, ballistics, and health system, there is no game on the market that can make you hate it with a passion for a couple hours just to have one raid where you go off. You kill an enemy squad of like 3 players and have a massive come up, resulting in one of the most rewarding matches in gaming. People have been asking about this coming to console for a long time, but is the market really there? And is this even something that Battlestate Games, the creator of Escape from Tarkov, would consider doing? While at first glance, I would assume that due to the nature of the game, console would reject it completely, or at least not stick around for very long. But I really think that it would do the same thing that it's done with PC. Yes, a majority of players can't hack it, but there's a surprisingly large group out there that's been searching for a game like this that doesn't hold your hand, that forces you to struggle while you're learning how to play it. Pretty much every other game has tutorials or some type of system that will guide you till you know what you're doing. Not Tarkov. This game spits on that, and then it waffle stomps it down the drain while screaming at you in Russian.
Негодяй, гад, иди сюда, ты говно! Жопа!
There is nothing that I can think of off the top of my head that compares to that at all on console. And I guarantee you, there is a massive group of people on PlayStation and Xbox that have been searching for that kind of experience for a long time as well. So yes, I think the market's there, and Tarkov would rule that market. But is this something that EFT would even do? The answer to that is yes as well. Nikita, the creator of Escape from Tarkov, has already stated that a console release is planned and actively in the works right now. There's no time frame that we have to go off of here. So as always, you know that you can rely on this channel to keep you up to date of when these games are coming to console, as well as other big extraction looter shooters that are coming to all platforms this year. But which of the games that we've discussed today would you most like to see go cross-platform? Let me know down in the comments below. Then check out everything that we now know about the upcoming Xville looter shooter that Dr. Disrespect's team is working on for a cross-platform release. It actually looks pretty good.